emotionally charged Giants Stadium at the Meadowlands in East Rutherford, New Jersey. Mexico takes on the United States with U.S. Cup 2000 at stake. So far in this round-robin tournament, the U.S. has looked very strong. Ernie Stewart stretched the strings 8 days ago in a 4-0 rout of South Africa in Washington, D.C. Then Tuesday night in a monsoon in Foxborough, Ante Razak, perhaps offside, but it counted in a 1-1 tie against Ireland. Alongside Ty Keogh, I'm Jack Edwards. Glad you could be with us for this game, which could decide U.S. Cup 2000. The U.S. in this game looking to Kobe Jones in his record 129th appearance for the U.S. national team.
Well, there's some discussion about whether Kobe Jones is a midfielder or a forward, but last Saturday against South Africa, he struck from long range twice with his off foot, the left foot, to lead the USA to a 4-0 victory. The United States matches up in a bitter rivalry against Mexico. Brian McBride matches up with number 3, Joaquin Beltran of Mexico. McBride wears the number 20 for the USA. They'll battle it out all day here at Giants Stadium.
This is the first appearance at this stadium for the U.S. national team in 11 years. The kick is moments away. We're back in a flash.
USA versus Mexico Soccer on ABC Sports. Brought to you by Tropicana, makers of Tropicana Season's Best and Tropicana Pure Premium. Chevrolet, Chevy, we'll be there. And Brewery Fresh Budweiser, official beer of U.S. Soccer. This Bud's for you.
A sweltering day at the Meadowlands as the U.S. gets set to take on Mexico with U.S. Cup 2000 at stake. In goal, Sergio Bernal guarding the cage for Mexico. Casey Keller in the goal for the U.S.
The United States playing with the same back four as they did against South Africa last week. Look at the midfield, a change on the left side. John O'Brien, who left California as a teenager to join Ajax of Amsterdam. He'll be in place of Eddie Lewis, I should say. And up front, Horacio Sanchez, number 9 for Mexico, the nephew of the acting head coach today for Mexico, Hugo Sanchez, perhaps Mexico's greatest player ever.
There's a good look at Horacio Sanchez. Peter Prendergast of Jamaica is the referee for this game. The United States wearing the white and attacking right to left in the first half. Mexico in the traditional green jerseys. Brian McBride and Kobe Jones up front. Jones with this appearance now has passed Marcelo Balboa with his record-setting 129th international appearance or cap for the U.S. Brian McBride heading it on. We'll be watching him against Bernal all day, and Bernal heads it clear. Reina lobbing it left side, and Ramirez punches it out to midfield. Olalde with an immediate challenge from Chris Armas. Tony Sané bringing it back to Jeff Agus. Agus, one of 5 Americans who've made 100 or more appearances for the national team. Ernie Stewart on the far side looked like a handball, and Prendergast makes the call. Stewart has a chipped tooth he picked up in the South Africa game. He's been a little bit sore, but he is giving it a go today. This portion of the match brought to you by Haviland. Claudio Reyna teeing it up. McBride on the far post and Jones on the near side. Over the top. McBride turning it nicely to try to get it into the middle, but Lopez clears it out. David Reggie up on the attack. Here's John O'Brien, who's in there for Eddie Lewis. Lewis with the sore shoulder after tearing a rotator cuff in English league play. Let's send it downstairs to Rob Stone. Rob?
Well, guys, bottom line, whoever wins this game wins the U.S. Cup, but should Mexico and the U.S. draw, things get very, very interesting. The U.S. has the goal differential advantage over Mexico, but a 0-0 or 1-1 tie combined with an Ireland 4-goal or more victory over South Africa, which will be played after this game, and the Irish will take the title, but the U.S. is definitely playing for the win. The coaching staff told me they want to finish the week off on a high note as they head into World Cup qualifying.
All right, Rob. Again, bottom line, if the U.S. wins this game, it wins U.S. Cup 2000. If Mexico wins this game, Mexico takes it for the 4th time. At midfield, little flick-on header by Olalde. Here's Sanchez giving it away to Reyna. Now Tony Sané playing the right back position, going long for McBride. Ty, how much long ball are we going to see today? It is unbelievably hot and humid for Bruce Arena's guys.
It's hot, but it's a perfectly flat field. There's no crown to this. It is over the AstroTurf, this tray system of natural grass. Bruce Arena hoping to stretch out the Mexican defense.
There's Hugo Sanchez, the acting head coach for the Mexican national team here.
Actually the head coach of the Pumas in the Mexican First Division, and 8 of the starters today for Mexico from that same club.
McBride stabbing it out of the air, and Beltran knocking the ball into the stands. That's a great one-on-one confrontation. We'll be tracking it all day. McBride, number 20 in white, and Beltran, number 3 in green. Kobe Jones waiting for the ball to be cleared off the field, and now he brings it back to Regis on the throw-in. Regis crossing it long for Reyna. Goes all the way over the top, and Ramirez blocks Reyna. It runs out of bounds. Reyna appealing for an obstruction call. He's not going to get it. Now this is a series which has been dominated by Mexico. 27 wins, 5 losses, 9 ties, well in favor of the Mexicans. Now this is a Pumas club-dominated national side for Mexico, not featuring many of the players who have helped Mexico rise into the top 10 in the world rankings. But Mexico is using the excuse that because of World Cup qualifying games coming up in a month, that it can't send its full national side, that those players need rest. Here's a good combination with Armas and McBride. Ernie Stewart's long ball curved out over the goal line, so it'll be a goal kick for Mexico.
Jack, in fact, there's a real controversy about this team even representing Mexico in the green, white, and red, because you see Hugo Sanchez on the bench there, one of Mexico's all-time great players, and just newly installed as the coach of the Pumas back in January. But the fact is, Manuel Lafuente, the true national team coach of Mexico, not even here.
Out in midfield, Chavez. Jones getting in Lopez's way. Regis firing it in for McBride, flicks it on, intended for Reyna, but Bernal kept it from getting through. Good ball from Armas onto the right for Stewart. A combination with Reyna, chips it back for Jones, going up for the header. It's over the top, and Lopez tracks it down. Good combination work around the top of the penalty area for the U.S. Sanchez dropping it back, and it comes out over the sideline for a Mexico throw-in.
Reyna got a good ball from Ernie Stewart. It was started by Chris Armas and John O'Brien. Kobe Jones did the right thing. He got inside of his defender, but then he couldn't get enough vertical clearance to get his head to the ball.
Olalde makes the turn against Agus. Claudio Reyna tackles the ball away, now distributes right side, Ernie Stewart. Back for Sane in support. His pass intended for Reyna. Reyna misread the pass, and his run was going in a different direction. Chavez trying to feed it upfield. Mexico decides to bring it back around the perimeter. Alpizar onto the right to Lopez. Alpizar. Pressure from Jones. Here's Bernal. Going long up the right side. Agus winning the battle against Sanchez. Regis volleys it forward. And Bernal back to his keeper. Beltran, rather, back to his keeper, Bernal. Tirado trying to start something left side. Ramirez firing it long. Llamosa up for the header. It bounces toward Agus. We get a push against Mexico and a U.S. free kick. Let's send it downstairs to Rob Stone again. Rob?
Well, Ty, just a few moments ago, you mentioned the quandary that U.S. Soccer Federation was put in recently about the rather odd Mexican lineup they brought. Well, let's add some fuel to the fire. The team bus rolled in just 40 minutes prior to kickoff, and the Mexican side didn't even take the field for warm-ups.
Stewart across the top of the box. Armas for McBride. Sanchez coming back. Agus takes him down. Play on. Sanchez turning it for Chavez. Chavez's square pass. O'Brien picks it off. O'Brien from McBride. McBride running out of a crowd. Working against Alpizar. Nice dribbling move down the left side. Goes for the cross. curling it way far the far post. Too far even for Ernie Stewart. Sane traps it down for Reyna. Claudio Reyna, 40 yards out. Square for Regis. Regis with a little bit of late pressure from Olalde. Agus changing the point of attack. Sees Sane making his break for the corner. Sane volleys it back into the middle, intended for Armas. Not quite, but good vision between Agus and Sane. Sane making the break up from the right back position.
USA doing a good job of opening up their attack, switching sides. Reyna many times getting the ball on the right, bringing it to the left. And then with Jeff Agus and Regis with the great left-footed strike of the ball that they have, they can get it back out to the right corner.
Sane and Jones in a nice combination. Picked off as Perez comes back on D. Way offside. Olalde hanging near midfield. And the U.S. will get the restart. This portion of the match is brought to you by Budweiser.
Being around the U.S. players, you get a sense that they maybe feel a lack of respect from Mexico. Mexico sending not even anything close to their first team in terms of the national colors. And it's almost a no-win situation for the United States players as well. They're expected to beat this team, which you could consider not even quite second string to the full Mexican national team.
On the other hand,
if they would lose to this team, it would be a nightmare.
On the other hand, it is the team that the Mexican Confederation chose to send to represent its country. And as Bruce Arena has stressed to his team throughout his tenure, this U.S. team has to play its game. Worry about itself first, its opponent second. Regis volleying it long up the left side for McBride. Alpizar almost gives it away for Kobe Jones' hustling effort. And Bernal signaling to his head to Alpizar as if to say, use yours.
Well, Bruce Arena still feels that this competition will make his team a better team. And that's the key, especially with World Cup qualifying coming up in July.
Kobe Jones' corner kick. Looking middle for Yamosa. Bernal punches it clear. Might have made contact with one of his own teammates there. Here's Olalde breaking with Sanchez on the left side. Agus hustling back. Armas turns it to Casey Keller. Keller out to midfield. McBride with a thigh pass. Stewart. Reyna sees O'Brien. O'Brien has Regis on the left, decides to go right wing corner. Kobe Jones very fast, tracks it down. Jones making his move, fires it all the way across for McBride. A pop-up header. Chavez settles it down for Lopez. Here's Chavez again. Long ball targeting Sanchez. Agus runs it down, a little instep trap, and runs out of bounds. Mexico's throwing.
You know, Jack, on the other hand, the United States on Tuesday night up in Foxborough against Ireland fielded a completely different starting 11 than they had against South Africa, and then they have today as well against Mexico. So the U.S. using a lot of players.
Luis Perez swinging it across midfield. Here's Ramirez working up the flank. The through ball for Chavez. Chavez working on Yamosa. Hard tackle out of bounds. It'll be a goal kick, says Prendergast, the referee.
This is a hard and very fair tackle. Yamosa turning, matching him for speed, getting the ball. In fact, banging the ball off of him to get the goal kick. So Yamosa, perhaps the best pure defender, certainly in Major League Soccer, perhaps on the U.S. squad. You make an argument that Eddie Pope is a little bit better going forward, perhaps has a little bit more speed, but Yamosa has the discipline and the ability to tackle and win the ball on successive occasions.
Lopez trying to serve it forward to Olalde. Chris Armas turns it ahead for Reyna. Nice combination play with McBride. The step over move. McBride brings it back for Reyna. Reyna square for Armas in tight quarters. Here's O'Brien all the way into the box. Trying to dribble through traffic. Jones comes up with the shrapnel. The stop move, chip across the box for Stewart, running onto it. Cleared high and out of here as Ramirez got back. But again, good combination in tight quarters by the U.S. And Bruce Arena's one-touch drills pay off there.
Kobe Jones has expanded his repertoire so much. He used to be all hustle and speed. Now he's a player who understands tactically how to link up with the midfielders as well as his partner up front, Brian McBride. And they look more and more dangerous in tandem each time that we see them, both McBride and Jones playing at a different level. They were in there initially for their physical skills.
Here's Yamosa, who made that great tackle just moments ago. Tony Sane changing the point of attack, bringing it to Agus, playing in his 101st game for the national team. O'Brien back to Agus quickly for McBride. Now David Reggie has Reyna in Kraft, decides he's going to go to O'Brien a little deeper. O'Brien intended for McBride. And again, the Mexicans clear it past midfield. Agus winning the ball away from Owalde. Yamosa for Sane.
When you talk of very important defenders for the United States, you also have to talk about Robin Fraser. And very good news, he did play last night. He came off the bench for the LA Galaxy. In fact, he ended up scoring an own goal. Actually, a ball deflected in off of him in overtime.
Jones and Stewart with a 1-2. Stewart, explosive speed, has O'Brien in the middle. Tries to draw it back for Reyna. Blocked by the D. Reyna hustling after it. Stewart into the box. Brings it out to the top of the 18. Armas hustling in. Foul against Stewart on a push in traffic. Mexico gets the restart.
Well, Ernie Stewart's speed and aggressiveness on the right flank, something that made a big difference against South Africa. You see him here trying to work his way into the box, and he gets bumped here, but then as he's going down, he hooks the Mexican player's leg. And that's where the call was made.
Joaquin Beltran, so strong in the air, has frustrated Brian McBride over the years. Intercepted by Tony Sane, his long header for Ernie Stewart. Now Kobe Jones working against Ramirez, draws him along. Now he's facing Bernal. Jones with a stagger move, great tackle by Beltran and out of bounds. Kobe Jones, as we said, past Marcelo Balboa. Caps, also international appearances. The two are interchangeable when you represent your national team. They actually used to give you a cap back in the old days, but that tradition has gone by the wayside. Agus with Reyna. There's David Reggie with a little bit of room. One times it nicely for O'Brien in space. Now turns for Jones. Jones trying to feed O'Brien through the seam, gets it back. Stewart on the right side against Ramirez. The immediate challenge from Ramirez. Little 1-2 with O'Brien. Stewart's blast goes wide. And again, the U.S. playing first touch ball. This is the drill that Bruce Arena has his team go through time after time after time.
They're linking up well. The front runner's showing for the short passes. You see, Stewart's got his head up. He's looking to link up. It's dropped back very nicely by John O'Brien. And he strikes first time, which was definitely worth a try. In fact, Joe Max Moore scored one from there against Argentina last June on a heel pass from Ernie Stewart.
This portion of the match brought to you by Chevrolet. The U.S. in white, Mexico in green. The U.S. dominating early play here. Claudio Reyna working onto the right side. A little burst of speed. Holds off the push by Ramirez. Play on. Reyna turns it back across. McBride popping it to the penalty arc. Armas settles. Stewart's blast. Puts a leg on the way through. It was Beltran. Sanchez volleys it back toward his own goal. And finally, Mexico gets it clear. Just taking the pressure off. There's a skill difference between this U.S. team and what Mexico has shown so far.
The United States taking the upper hand in territorial play, in possession, and in balls into the Mexican penalty area. Keller's barely touched the ball at the other end for the United States.
Agus tracking it down. Agus with Sane on the right. Gives it to him. Getting a little bit of pressure. Now Reyna. Kobe Jones. It pops up on the trap. Pressure from behind. And Reyna tracked down. Not a good hustle play by Owalde coming back. And they produce the transition. Osorno with a big burst of speed. The through ball for Sanchez. Sanchez maneuvering for the shot. Brings it back. Chavez. On the left side, Perez. Owalde working against Armas and Sane. The double team wins the ball back. Sane and Armas teaming up. Now Reyna to Sane, who can move forward. Back to Kobe Jones. Jones is dumping it upfield. Beltran takes it.
Well, you also have to respect Mexico on the counterattack. And it's something that is very much a part of the Mexican game at the league level as well as the international level. They play a very disciplined style, but when they see the opportunity to go forward, they can get numbers into the counterattack in a hurry.
Chavez trying to bring it up the wing, but getting whistled for the handball. Next Sunday on ABC, the Indy Racing Northern Lights Series goes to the Rockies for the Pikes Peak Indy 200, 4 Eastern on ABC. There's more at abcsports.com, a part of Go Network. Now long ball for McBride. Alpizar turning it away. McBride settling, looking for O'Brien. His volley, he just missed. That may be the hardest thing to do in sports right there. Take a ball that's coming across your body and volley it. And if O'Brien had that, it was going to be a bullet. Very hard to hit that ball on the run that way. Reyna just missing a combination play with McBride. Osorno blasting into O'Brien, and O'Brien getting called for the obstruction. Good work by John O'Brien. Not so much on the recent foul, but on his 1-2 passing combinations. In there for Eddie Lewis, who has a torn rotator cuff because of the shoulder injury, sitting this one out. Jeff Agus. Yamosa. Sane with a little bit of pressure from Sanchez. Sane goes long for McBride. Alpizar screens him off. And Bernal has it.
Well, we mentioned Robin Fraser and Eddie Pope, not a part of the U.S. squad in U.S. Cup due to injury, although they're both back and playing at least somewhat. Joe Max Moore missing from the U.S. squad because of a knee injury he picked up for Everton in England.
Jones with Ramirez on his back. Sane, little pressure from Maldo. Sane going long from McBride in midfield. Chavez popping it up. Alpizar volleying onto the right side. Lopez intercepted Regis. Regis has Reyna. He goes farther upfield for McBride. Trying a little drop off for Reyna. Didn't quite connect. Back to David Regis. He's playing on the wing. Not in the central defensive position, mostly because of a language difficulty. Regis, not great with English, a French citizen. O'Brien, a flick-on header from McBride. He is an American citizen, I should say, but he had been living in France.
Regis also on the left side because he has a wonderful left foot, which translates in any language.
Good contentious play here.
Physical play, always a part of a Mexico-USA rivalry.
Offside as Sanchez is a step behind Jeff Agus. This portion of the match brought to you by Hershey's Milk Chocolate.
There's Horacio Sanchez, nephew of the acting national team coach for Mexico, Hugo Sanchez. And if he scores today, we'll see him do the Hugo Sanchez flip, which even MLS fans might remember. Hugo Sanchez, Mexico's coach today, playing for the Dallas Burn in the first few seasons of Major League Soccer.
Reyna for Jones against Beltran, and Beltran winning another ball on the back line for Mexico. Jones hustling and intercepting from Ramirez, tipping for the far corner. Can't quite bring it down in time. Kobe Jones creates so much with his hustle and his mental toughness.
Good mental recognition there by Kobe Jones to notice that Sergio Bernal was off his line. The execution left something to be desired, but hey, Kobe Jones's left foot has already done a lot these last 8 days. 2 goals against South Africa, in fact.
Regis hammering a header all the way into the attacking third. Ramirez controls, looking long for Ronaldo. A little flick-on pass. Keller alertly out to the top of the box for control. Sane on the right. Stewart for Armas, who leads all players for the U.S. in minutes in the year 2000. Reyna, who works so well in combination with Armas. Ahead for O'Brien. Flick on, nobody there. A little bit of miscommunication. Perez, who has 3 assists in the tournament, number 7 in green. Now this is Osorno, a young player with great finishing skills, working on Sane, and Sane just blows him over. It'll be a restart for Mexico. We'll send it down to Rob Stone. Rob.
Speaking with the U.S. staff prior to the game, they felt that physically they had a huge advantage size-wise, especially on restarts. They liken this game to a prize fight where they really want to wear down the Mexican side. Also, they noticed that Mexico has different rhythms to their game. They like to start fast, and then it seems they kind of hit a wall. The U.S. wants to pounce on them once they find that wall.
Lopez wearing the captain's armband over the ball. Drives it right on. Armas heading it out. Lopez trapping it down, juggling it, firing it back into the box. Sane winning one of those balls in the air. Stewart for Jones. Yamosa chipping it out to the midfield stripe. Reyna. The over-the-shoulder catch. Square for O'Brien, who's got a lot of room. McBride straight ahead. The 35-yarder blocked down by Beltran. Beltran tackled hard by Armas coming across. And Mexico gets the free kick. Aerial coverage is brought to you by the Bud One Airship. Budweiser, guaranteed fresh with the exclusive born-on date, the day your Budweiser was made. Budweiser is the official beer of U.S. soccer.
Well, if there is such a thing, that was a sophisticated foul by Chris Armas there. It stopped the Mexican counterattack, allowed the United States to get bodies back and reorganize. And that is something, as you see the U.S. level of play get better and better. It's not only on the ball, it's how to adjust at midfield and at the back as well.
Osorno square, intercepted Regi. Reyna stabs it ahead for McBride, tackled hard from behind by Chavez. Reyna, Jones first times it back to Armas. Armas on the right, Stewart up the wing. Jones working against Beltran. Beats him to the corner. Jones immediately crosses far post for McBride. It's over his head. He tracks it down with Lopez, giving pressure. O'Brien to the top of the box. Armas first time looking for Regi to race through the seam. Regi didn't quite see the intent in time. O'Brien to Regi. McBride on the sideline with O'Brien going corner. A little chip pass, nicely done. O'Brien taking it out of the air in traffic. McBride blocks it toward the middle. Reyna chasing it down, spins away from Lopez. Play on, says Prendergast. Regi, square for Sane. Regi, Agus on his own side of midfield. This portion of the match is brought to you by Motrin. The U.S. and Mexico. This is U.S. Cup 2000. With Partido and Rob Stone, I'm Jack Edwards. The winner of this game would win U.S. Cup 2000 outright. It is a 4-team tournament, also featuring Ireland and South Africa, who will play later today here at the Meadowlands. And whoever comes away with the best record in the round-robin format wins. Here's Osorno with a lot of space. Osorno onto the left side for Ramirez. Ramirez back across the box. Didn't get it where he wanted it. And it's out of bounds for a U.S. goal kick.
What is very evident is the quickness of the Mexican player. Something that they're also known for. Short passing game. The Mexican teams are very much known for. But you called it earlier, Jack. The United States doing an excellent job, even in Mexico's third of the field, of linking up and knocking one-touch passes, not just to people's feet, but also into space behind the defenders, which is opening things up. Although it has not created too many clear-cut chances for the United States, except for some shots from near the edge of the box. McBride with a pretty spin-around move against Alpizar, and Alpizar takes him down, so it'll be a free kick for the U.S. McBride creating a lot of opportunities, not only for himself, but for his fellow frontrunner, Kobe Jones. Sane on the right side against Osorno. Yamosa back for Reyna. Reyna still has room, still with it. Reyna from 20, pulls it back, tries a little poke, and it just goes wide. What a terrific run from Claudio Reyna. An almost effortless run by Reyna. He's got his head up the whole time, which helps him fake defenders. They think he might pass. Instead, he tries to weave his way through, and in the end, there wasn't enough space left as about 3 green shirts collapsed on him. 30 touches on the day, 33 chances. Reyna is the playmaker for the United States. He's the player with the vision and the passing ability, but he gets some help on the right from Ernie Stewart. He should get some help on the left for sure from John O'Brien in the attack.
In the hard tackle, Tirado wins it for Mexico. Into the middle for Lopez. Moves it along for Perez. Perez closing in. Sane goes down, a drive by Osorno. Saved by Keller, and the U.S. clears.
Well, Keller reacted well. Osorno's shot had some real sting to it, which is why Keller had a tough time holding it.
Quick restart. Lopez, a little flick on header, and Keller calls off Llamosa.
I like Osorno's runs down the left side for Mexico. He has opened things up. He goes straight into the attack. He's got those greenish-yellow shoes on, so maybe he looks faster because of that. But watch the number 20. He's causing problems for the United States.
Right there as he gives the ball back to Ramirez and gets the return. Osorno. Some think he is the heir apparent to Luis Hernandez, who now plays for the LA Galaxy in Major League Soccer. And is a Mexican national team player. Nice tackle by McBride to win the ball back in midfield, but Perez steals it back for the Mexicans. Beltran onto the left side. Ramirez. Osorno against Sane.
Yeah, and it's Tony Sane, who's not a true right back yet. He's trying to prove that point that he can play that position at the international level. He's the one matched up against what looks like right now the most dangerous attacker for Mexico out of their left midfield, Daniel Osorno.
Reyna for McBride. McBride ahead for Kobe Jones. A little bit of space here. Jones turning on Beltran. Jones moving right side, pushing it out for Stewart. Stewart has McBride at the penalty spot. Brings it back outside. Sane comfortable on offense. Sane right across the top of the box for Armas. Chip on, intended for Jones. Doesn't quite connect, and Bernal controls. Quick ball and counter. Llamosa heading it back for Keller. Considering that the temperature is in the 90s and it is quite humid, there is still a pretty ferocious pace to this game as we are about to enter the 31st minute. This portion of the match brought to you by Nike. Reyna. Agus looks right up the middle for McBride. Quickly playing it to O'Brien to Reggie. Reggie for O'Brien. He sees Armas' run up ahead. Perez got a poke on it. And Mexico plays it back to the keeper.
Well, their keeper, Sergio Bernal, showed us something just a moment ago. His ability to strike long range and immediately catch the United States 2-on-2 at the back. It was a dangerous situation because of his kicking ability.
Tirado with the slow then fast change of pace. Agus wins the ball away from Olalde. Llamosa popping it up to midfield. Mexico beginning to swing the momentum its way now. Osorno working against Stewart. Stewart, the wraparound tackle to win it back. Llamosa again solid on D. There's Armas hustling, getting the ball to O'Brien and the return. Armas head for Reggie. He's got a little bit of speed. This is about 30% of what he can do. Long ball for Reyna, and Bernal alertly coming out 17 yards off his goal line. Chavez. Gerardo Tirado against Armas. Osorno with a pass-through on the left side. Now working on Sane. Osorno to change the pace. Tries to draw it back to the right foot. Osorno stab tackled away, but Perez is on it. Perez leading the tournament with 3 assists. Lining up Ernie Stewart. Tirado at the top of the box. Into the middle. Agus heads it down and out. Lopez. McBride tackles the ball away.
Horacio Sanchez for Mexico, their number 9, was right in there, nearly got to that ball. He's already got 3 goals in the tournament.
Jones steals from Ramirez. He's got Reyna, and on the far side, McBride coming up late. Now here come the midfielders. He drops it off for Stewart. The U.S. coming up as a unit. Reggie with a little pressure from behind, distributes to O'Brien in perfect time. Now here's Reyna, a little one-touch attempt for McBride, but it'll run over the end line for a goal kick. A program reminder. Saturday, WBC lightweight champion Stevie Johnson faces Jose Luis Castillo. And an exclusive interview with Oscar De La Hoya, 5 Eastern on ABC. Play on at midfield, Ernie Stewart for Kobe Jones. Jones back to Stewart on the right side, closing to the goal line, turns it back to McBride, scores! Brian McBride!
Just like you draw it on the chalkboard, give and go between Kobe Jones and Ernie Stewart. After you pass the ball, run into space, Jones gets it back to Stewart. Stewart then to Brian McBride. No mistake there as he buries it. Tremendous running on the right side by Ernie Stewart. And a good, well-angled pass, both by Kobe Jones and by Ernie Stewart, to find their open man. And McBride making the intelligent near-post run to bury it.
Brian McBride does so much running and does so many good things away from the ball that create opportunities for his teammates. And finally, after a considerable drought for the national team, he gets one that he can put his name on. Bruce Arena effusive in his praise of McBride after the South Africa game, especially a little flick on off the heel, reaching back to keep a ball alive that led directly to a U.S. goal, although he didn't pick up an assist on it. And Arena certainly has to be as happy as anyone that McBride gets this tally. It is the 11th international goal in McBride's career for the U.S. national team. This portion of the match is brought to you by Tropicana. The official scoring on it, McBride in the 33rd minute from Ernie Stewart. It started with a Kobe Jones steal from Ramirez in midfield. Beltran belting it out to the midfield stripe. Olalde tracking it down. This is Tirado. Lopez, the captain, with O'Brien in his face. O'Brien steps in and makes a good hard tackle. McBride to O'Brien. Reyna turns it back to safety. Armas. And here's Yamosa, whose strong defensive work early bolstered the U.S. Lucky bounce, and here charges Sane.
How about those strides?
That is the monster effect. He is such an X factor, and maybe it's why many coaches play him in so many different positions. They don't know just where to put him because Tony Sane has so much talent. Ernie Stewart trying to flick it through the middle. The U.S. wants a handball. No call. On we go. Osorno, Olalde, has Perez breaking on the right side. Agus running it down with Keller. The U.S. goalkeeper, Keller, is on it, and he will screen the ball out of bounds for a goal kick. We're in the 36th minute at Giants Stadium. The U.S. with a 1-0 lead on Mexico. And there is Tony Sane.
There he is, the big cat, as his teammates called him back at D.C. United in his years there. Parts of championships. Now with Hertha Berlin in Germany, and a part of their starting teams in Champions League play.
He played 5 different positions for his club team. Of course, these are dream teams, if you will, the national sides. All these players play professionally for club teams all over the world, and they come together for their national teams during specific periods. Claudio Reyna, for instance, plays in Scotland. Ahead for McBride. It goes out of bounds.
Reyna trying to target McBride, and McBride's so good in the air. The Mexican defenders, as McBride was indicating there, knowing how to get the body on him, keep him off balance. So even if McBride does get his head to the ball, he can't really direct it where he wants to, whether that be on goal or into a teammate's run.
Sanchez dropping it back, but there's Chris Armas. And O'Brien cleaning out the back. McBride chipping into space for Kobe Jones. Jones didn't anticipate the pass, so Mexico takes over. Armas, who was everywhere. He got there by hustling effort, but it shouldn't mask his great skill. Reyna ahead for McBride. Tirado anticipated well. Sanchez. Agus on his back, forcing him back to Osorno. Here's Chavez. Chavez, known as Tilon to many Mexican soccer fans. Lopez on the right side. Perez Tirado into the middle. Here's Ramirez, who had the turnover that Jones turned into the U.S. opportunity that McBride knocked home. Osorno walking it against Sane. Yamosa stepping around Sanchez to win the ball. Reyna, McBride with a man on his back and getting held. We'll send it downstairs to Rob Stone. Rob?
With today's sideline sightings, we're tracking the midfield general and the captain, Claudio Reyna. And Jack, you and Ty and I have been talking about this for a while, how we can really effectively show the numbers of how important Claudio is to this team. So what we're doing is we're showing you the total number of passes that Claudio has completed in this game. Right now, he's at 27. Of the breakdown, these are how many have gone to the forwards. Actually, it's 28 passes now. 10 of those balls have gone up to the point men, Kobe or Brian McBride, and then working it out wide to the wide midfielder. So a nice little breakdown. Claudio, as always, trying to get not only himself, but the entire team involved in the game.
All right, Rob, thank you. A little confrontation. And David Regis receives the yellow card in the 39th minute. And Lopez gets a yellow for his trouble as well. This portion of the match brought to you by Allstate. Alpizar. Looking for something upfield. Not much movement from the Mexican team ahead of the ball. Now playing it into space and Olalde tracking it down. Chavez changing the point of attack. This is Osorno. Again with Sane in his face. Osorno waiting for the run by Ramirez. Plays it through to him. Sane anticipating the move from the back who was racing up and getting in the passing lane. McBride against Tirado. They tangle. Tirado pulls him down. And Tirado earns a talking to from the referee Prendergast, but again the caution card stays in the pocket.
Well, every forward takes a lot of physical punishment. But this one, it looked like the defender wanted McBride's jersey as a souvenir. McBride has the only goal of the match thus far.
McBride trying to turn on Beltran, and Beltran muscling McBride, letting the ball run out of bounds. It'll be a goal kick for Mexico. About 5 minutes to go in the first half.
Tony Sane showed us a moment ago back in the right corner of the U.S. defense that he's starting to learn that position. A good read by him to cut out a ball which would have gotten in behind the U.S. defense.
Ernie Stewart turns it forward. He's got McBride on the right side against Ramirez. Back to Stewart. McBride gets clapped. And this is a card, no doubt about it, for Ramirez, who's winning goat's horns for his work in the first half.
McBride on the turf right now, but we've seen time after time physical play. Good slide there by Yamosa and a fair one. That one could have gone either way. Look at this, Chris Armas piling in. There was no call on that. Actually, there was on Tony Sane, but games are won and lost many times by who gets to the ball first and who might cause the other team to back down from going for loose balls in midfield.
Claudio Reyna serving it into the box. And the run not well rehearsed by the U.S.
Yeah, Tony Sane was wide open in the middle. I'm surprised Reyna couldn't pick him out.
Bernal has terrific range on these restarts. He just punted a ball 75 yards. It runs out of bounds beyond Olalde, but that'll keep the U.S. back line honest.
Well, and the United States gambling just a little bit with Horacio Sanchez up front with Olalde. Many times it's just 2-on-2, matched up 2 against 2 with Yamosa and Agus without much cover.
Which means you beat one man and you've got a golden opportunity. Olalde, a nice selling of the dummy, but Regis punches it forward. Reyna's overhead pass. Ash Jones to McBride, settles back for O'Brien. O'Brien has Armas square, brings it back for Regis. Onto the sideline for McBride. He has Jones in the middle. Toward him, through Jones's legs, bounces around. Chavez has it for Mexico. O'Brien chases him down. O'Brien's going to get called for a foul. That, though, is an example of the scrappiness of the U.S. in the middle third of the field.
Well, he still got a piece of the ball. What he did was disrupt the flow of the Mexican play, and he made a fair challenge for the ball. Yes, it was a foul, but in the meantime, the United States again did get players back.
The offense-to-defense transition of the U.S. is an unusual characteristic. Not too many teams attack the ball so quickly after giving it up. And the U.S. may surprise some teams as World Cup qualifying begins. Tremendous tenacity. The guy's wearing white today. O'Brien through for Jones. Jones moving on Alpizar. Who's going to help? Here's O'Brien. His shot blocked down by Beltran. Might have even hit the forearm of Beltran as he was falling. He wasn't playing the ball intentionally, certainly at any rate.
Well, you saw there Kobe Jones racing into the Mexican end with not any support. I think there's a few guys here in the closing moments of the first half. They're gassed. The heat is getting to them.
Here's Osorno against Sane. Sane blocks it out of bounds into the corner kick. This portion of the match brought to you by Armor All. There's Osorno wondering if he's still fully dressed, as Sane has been in his shirt. Lopez wearing the captain's armband to take the corner. The U.S. leads 1-0. Alalde's on the back post. Into the middle. Keller coming through the pile. Probably getting a piece of that as Ramirez challenged him. And it comes out off of Keller. It'll be a Mexico throw-in.
Keller out into a crowd there. That's always a bit dicey. He got a piece of it.
Chavez for Alalde, and Regi punches it out of bounds. It'll be a Mexico corner.
Well, we mentioned 8 Pumas players from UNAM, the Universidad Autónoma de México in Mexico City. The former team of Mike Schorber, the former U.S. national team squad. Mike Schorber knows several of these guys. A friend of Israel Lopez here who's taking the corner.
O'Brien pops it up and out of bounds for a Mexico throw-in. Coming up in just a couple of minutes, the All-State halftime report. News on the Hall of Fame induction. Highlights from around Major League Soccer. Quite a soccer Saturday yesterday. And U.S. women are in Australia. It's all coming up just a couple of minutes away with Rod Stone. It's a handball on Mexico, and the U.S. will restart. The upper deck not in use today at Giants Stadium, but a good crowd filling the lower two-thirds of this bowl.
Just wait till the Irish show up.
Keller going long. McBride on the challenge and getting called for jumping in against Alpizar. Alpizar having position underneath. Mexico with a quick restart. Tirado. Ramirez. Osorno. Osorno into the middle. Alalde. Yamosa challenging him, forcing it back to Chavez. Chavez plays it onto the right side for Lopez. Lopez against O'Brien. Perez chips it for Lopez. He's got a chance. Lopez walking in across the middle. Nobody home for Mexico. Keller way out to control the ball. Brings it back inside the penalty area where he can pick it up.
Well, a well-timed run on the right side by Israel Lopez. But some indecision really cost him there.
We're in stoppage time in the first half. The referee, at his discretion, adding time because of stoppages in play. Ramirez, the throw-in on the far side for Mexico. Beltran. And I hear a whistle.
It's in the stands.
Deceived by someone in the stands, and now Prendergast blows the whistle and points to the center spot. Kobe Jones created the opportunity for Brian McBride. Jones with the steal from Ramirez and going down into the corner, playing the little 1-2 with Ernie Stewart, who sent it to McBride. Casey Keller made it stand up, and the U.S. has a 1-0 lead on Mexico. The All-State halftime report is coming up next. New Jersey and the U.S. with a 1-0 lead on Mexico. Ty Keogh, you described it as chalkboard stuff. We'll draw it up for us, the U.S. goal.
Well, in the 33rd minute, it was Tony Sane who had won the ball. The important thing here is the run. You talk about running off the ball. Coaches always talk about that. Look at the run here into the space by Ernie Stewart. And then Kobe Jones plays it into that space behind the defender. And then right here, the great run by Brian McBride. He had faked to run this way and then cuts inside. Times his run perfectly. Stewart does well to look up and pick him out. And that's a beautiful goal. Coordination going all the way down the field and playing balls into space and good off-the-ball running.
McBride paying for his talent a little bit later in the half. Ramirez cracked him and got a yellow card in the 41st minute. statistically, a very strong showing by the U.S. 9-2 in shots. Mexico clearly has gone to the counterpunch strategy.
And they've looked dangerous on a couple of occasions in that counterattack, with the USA gambling a little bit, as we talked about, just 2-on-2 at the back sometimes, with Llamosa and Agus matched up with the two forwards for Mexico.
There's Tony Sané, the right back position. Let's send it downstairs to Rob Stone. Rob.
Just spoke with Bruce Arena. Defensively, he's very happy, just that one breakdown at the end of the half. Offensively, they want to be a little more aggressive going forward. Also, when the outside midfielders pinch in, they want to get the outside fullbacks more involved on the offense. Weather, obviously a factor today, folks. It is really, really hot out here. No subs right now. The only one they're possibly mowing, John O'Brien, out for Ben Olsen.
Rob, you look as fresh as a daisy. I don't know what you're talking about. Horacio Sanchez has come out of the game, a 3-goal scorer in 3 games for Mexico, and Jaime Lozano, number 16, has gone in for him, with Jesus Olalde forcing forward. So Osorno and Olalde are the front men, with Lozano maybe in a 3-forward position here. Here's Olalde, gets off a shot, turns it and fires it off the back wall.
Jack, it's pretty obvious here that Mexico now going into a 3-forward setup to look for the equalizing goal. And they know already that Osorno's been dangerous down that left side. Olalde pushing up into the center now.
This portion of the match is brought to you by Haviland. Killing 70-yarder. Jones up for it. Beltran getting a hand on him. Llamosa. Chris Armas out of the right side, too far for Ernie Stewart. And Lozano letting it roll out of bounds where he'll take the throw in. Ramirez. Chavez out of the right side for Beltran. He's got a lot of room to run, and he takes advantage of it. Winning that space, now up ahead for Olalde, and Agus anticipates the pass. O'Brien, who was very strong in the first half, winning a lot of balls with hard tackles in midfield. Fancy backfield move, but it turns into a giveaway. Regis with a slide tackle. Mexico still has it. This is a problem. Long crossing ball by Perez. Way too far for his teammates, and it runs out. There's Sanchez, maybe suffering a little in the heat.
He can't believe it. He scored 3 goals in this tournament in the first 2 games for Mexico.
And his uncle took him out.
So I think he's calling his dad.
So much for nepotism. O'Brien. Tirado on the counterattack. Here comes Tirado, a through ball. Olalde stopping it against Agus. Olalde trying to turn Agus. Solid as a brick wall, and Armas wins the ball. Now here is McBride on a counterattack at Kobe Jones' middle. McBride getting dumped. Good, hard, clean tackle, winning the ball. Ramirez knocks it out of bounds.
We saw a moment ago a critical function by Chris Armas. When you're a defender like Jeff Higgins, you're doing your job, and you're matched up one-on-one. Sometimes you need and really want just a little bit of help. It goes a long way, and the double team is what ended up stripping that ball off the Mexican attacker.
Sané on the right side, too far for Ernie Stewart, who was moving left. The ball was going right. Alpizar on the throw-in, back to Ramirez. Ramirez walking it up. Kobe Jones a little late pressure. Pass into space. Neither team in sync here in the first 3 minutes of the second half.
Jack, soccer, when it's played effectively, is played by tandems of players. We've seen how Kobe Jones can link up with Brian McBride up front, how they've complemented each other in this tournament, especially against South Africa, but also here today. But Armas complements Reyna so well in the center of midfield, and then Agus and Llamosa really play well together because they have so much experience with DC United.
Here's Reyna on the right side, has Jones uses Jones's run, creating a little space. Beltran takes him down, play on. They said it was a dive by Reyna. Hard tackle by Tony Sané, getting the elbow and forearm right in the face of Perez. Check that, it was Lozano he knocked flat.
Well, Tony Sané, he saw Reyna get his legs taken out from under him, and there was definitely a foul there. Now, did Reyna embellish it slightly? Sure he did. When he felt his legs clipped, he threw his body a little bit, but there was certainly a foul there.
Beltran in the back of the D, McBride challenging. Beltran changing the point of attack, looking long for Lozano. Lozano, one touching it inside of Sane. Lozano, 25 yards from goal. Reggie winning the ball away from Perez. He goes tumbling. Osorno passes behind. Stewart winning the ball nicely from Alcazar. Torado trying to run around Reyna. Does so right into the box. Osorno, fancy move. Yamosa screening the ball so Keller can pounce on it.
Well, Ernie Stewart a moment ago in the corner. Who would know he's 31 years old?
Alaude, a takeaway from O'Brien. O'Brien tackles the ball cleanly. A man goes tumbling over the ball. It often looks spectacular, but if you win the ball cleanly like that, no ref in his right mind is going to call that against you. You tackle the ball, not the man. Reggie. Straight up for the captain, Claudio Reyna. Square for Sane. The U.S. changing the point of attack quickly with two-time passes. McBride, Arma seeing Sane's run. Sane almost threading the needle to Kobe Jones, who would have been in alone. Beltran read it nicely on D.
And the start of that play is where Brian McBride has improved so much. Tony Sane needed help. McBride checked to the ball, controlled it, laid it back, which set up the through ball, which almost broke down the Mexican defense.
Thomas touching it with his hand. It'll be a Mexico free kick. This portion of the match is brought to you by Budweiser. Long ball, the early strategy in the second half by Mexico. Agus heading it out of bounds for the U.S. Lozano on the throw-in. Torado settled in front of Reyna. Reggie running out of the ball to win it for Armas. Square from Reyna in traffic. Hard, clean tackle by Torado. And the Americans getting called for a push. Lozano quickly restarts. Alcazar has a couple of target men at the top of the box. Plays Torado instead. Torado for Osorno in traffic. Armas gets a piece of it. Yamosa takes the ball, and here comes McBride. McBride turning, plays it to the most open man, Kobe Jones. There goes Stewart on a long run through the middle. Jones has Stewart, threads the needle, off the goalkeeper, and he's knocked out of bounds on the side on a good hustling play by Lopez. What a run by Ernie Stewart to create the opportunity.
An outstanding ball by Kobe Jones to push the ball in behind the Mexican defender. Watch Jones measure this perfectly. Not offside, because when the ball was played, Ernie Stewart was still not behind the Mexican defender. In fact, he wasn't even yet. Good vision by Kobe Jones to pick out that run.
He was running about a 10 flat 100 at the time. That was perfectly timed, and that's the kind of run that the wing midfielders from the U.S. can make that just throw fits into the coaching staffs of opposing teams. You have no idea when these guys are going to go and how fast and with how much power they're going to go. Stewart saw the opening. Jones read it perfectly, and they almost hooked up for a beauty. Here's a little 1-2 looking for Osorno, who is offside by a step.
Osorno there on your screen, I thought the biggest threat for Mexico in the first half of the play. Showing good speed and dribbling ability on the left side for Mexico.
Mexico caught offside 5 times. The U.S. not flagged yet. Daniel Osorno, just 21 years old, has obvious talent, great skills, just beginning to reach maturity. McBride turns it with Reyna. Reyna in a seam. Has Jones. Jones, a quick speed move. Loose in front off the save by Bernal. Reggie knocking the ball down in midfield. And Mexico winning it back on a hustle play. Sanchez just booting it long to take the pressure off. Osorno on Yamosa's back. Yamosa playing it carefully. Turns to the inside. Now better to the outside. Kicks it high and wide to safety. Lozano. To Torado. Torado. Sanchez. Volleyed away. Reggie. McBride settles. Agus is on a long run from the back of the D on the left side, and there it goes to him. Reyna seeing the space. Agus has 3 target men in the box. Into the middle. Ramirez heads it clear. Lozano coming back for it. McBride trying to chase him down.
Wide open game right now. The United States exerting good attacking pressure and bringing players forward, even to Jeff Agus. Mexico resorting to that quick long ball over the top, trying to catch the United States on a break, and that's where the danger is. The United States pushing too many players forward, getting beaten by the Mexican quickness on the counterattack.
Beltran onto the right side. This is Lopez, the captain. Outside of the foot flick for Alalde. Regi winning the ball. And Keller, the master of the box, 18 yards off his line to snare it.
His counterpart, Sergio Bernal, in the Mexican goal, has had to make a couple of big plays just in the last 2 minutes. He had to stop Ernie Stewart on almost a clear breakaway.
O'Brien trying a 1-2 with Jones. O'Brien getting knocked flat by Lopez after his touch. The U.S. gets the restart. Reyna putting it in play quickly. Swinging it right side. Sane grabs the bouncing ball. Yamosa. Torado stepping in with a tackle.
Kobe Jones a moment ago mixing it up with Luis Perez away from the ball.
Next week on Soccer Saturday, Kobe Jones returns to his club team as the LA Galaxy with Luis Hernandez meets Carlos Valderrama and the Tampa Bay Mutiny. Soccer Saturday, 9:30 Eastern on ESPN2. Mike Keogh, you and I will be out in Los Angeles for that one. Actually, Pasadena at the Rose Bowl. 2 very entertaining teams. Jeff Agus coming across the back of the D to take it away from Alalde. Mishits it out of bounds. Agus wagging his tongue, not happy with the touch, but he won the ball defensively. Lozano with some space. Turns it. This is Chavez. Chavez has Osorno to his right, gives it to him. Osorno moving around Armas. Osorno winding up for a shot. Armas runs him over. Play on. Got enough of the ball. McBride with Beltran facing him. McBride goes long for Jones. He's open and onside on the right wing. Jones has Stewart trailing. Jones a big burst of speed. Turns it back. Stewart's there. Stewart with room. Across the middle. Reyna is offside.
Well, one too many passes probably there. Ernie Stewart trying to be unselfish and set up his captain Claudio Reyna over at the far post. But what a run by Kobe Jones. A good awareness here to know that the support is coming at Stewart. And clearly offside was Claudio Reyna in deep there. Just about a step offside. But really, Ernie Stewart had a chance to take it in and maybe slot the ball in the corner for himself.
Well, Reyna's about 35 minutes from his only 3-week vacation of the year. You can't blame him. O'Brien with Jones in traffic tries the 1-2. Couldn't get it past Ramirez. Reyna settling it.
Reyna also only about 25 minutes from his boyhood home here in New Jersey.
Osorno trying to chase it down, and Yamosa again with his body between the man and the goal. Keller outside the penalty area, pumping it back into the attacking third. Sane up front, winning the header, but it goes all the way into Bernal. Israel Lopez into the middle for Chavez. Torado. Going long for Alalde, offside. Mexican fans here at Giant Stadium quite bitter about the offside calls, but this Jamaican crew has been on it so far.
Another offside. Mexico trying to go over the top. They feel that they have more quickness up front. They feel they match up well with Agus and Yamosa. But when you play 2 center backs, a flat back four, you are going to catch the opposition offside because you don't have the depth. That's why it's risky.
McBride against Beltran. That hasn't been as vivid a battle in the air as we thought it might be today, as the U.S. has elected not to play the ball to McBride in the middle of the box that often. Beltran. Sanchez back to Ramirez. Jones a little bit of pressure, just keeping him honest. Now Ramirez making a run. Lopez, first time. Regi volleys it out. Jones pressuring Ramirez. Ramirez having to play it quickly. Alpizar. Lozano with Sane on his back. Lozano getting away. Alpizar against Stewart. Torado against Reyna. Alpizar. Armas racing in to win the ball. He goes tumbling. Play on. Good aggressive play by Armas, but if you put yourself in jeopardy like that, sometimes you will go tumbling. No harm done. Keller way out to pick up the through ball attempt by Mexico.
Well, the winner today takes the cup. The U.S. Cup, the United States not having won it since '95. Mexico having taken home the last 3.
Bit of irony there because Major League Soccer has strengthened soccer in the United States and has strengthened the national team. Big room for Lozano. Olalde chipping across the top of the box. First timer and a nice save. The biggest challenge of the day on Keller. Sanchez letting it rip from 24 yards.
Tilon Chavez from the Chivas. One of the few players out there today not from the Pumas of UNAM.
Ramirez in the back of the D. Just to complete the thought, Major League Soccer came into existence on the field in 1996. U.S. hasn't won the U.S. Cup since Major League Soccer has had a product on the field. But it is less than 30 minutes away from doing it here. This portion of the match brought to you by Chevrolet. Tony Sane stepping up to win the ball away from Osorno, who looks a little bit tired. Sane keeping his run going. McBride seeing it. Sane onto the left for Reggie, up from the D, across the middle for McBride. Bernal punching it clear, and McBride going flying over the top. Excellent play by the Mexican keeper, who gets up a little lame.
Bernal really had to launch himself in the direction of the ball to beat McBride to it. And then the contact, the heavy collision just after the ball was punched away by Bernal.
Reggie timing the run. The U.S. players coming up from midfield in the back line and giving Mexico fits. But it's still just 1-0. Lozano heading it back for Torado. Sanchez headed out Yamosa. Chavez, excuse me. Chavez onto the right. Little flick on Olalde, just getting his body in between the player and the keeper. Keller quickly counters. Here's Reggie and McBride. It's a 3-on-2 as Jones breaks far side. It's too far out in front.
It's a great idea by Reggie because Toby Jones was wide open on this near side. But bad execution by Reggie's left foot, and here I was raving about it in the first half. Of course, it's 90-some-odd degrees out there. Easy for me to say.
We're in the shade, and there's a little breeze up here in the mezzanine level, so nothing to complain about watching, but of course we haven't run a step in a few hours. Keller coming out to take the long ball away from Olalde's challenge. Keller will wait. Supposed to get rid of the ball within 6 seconds. The you have to bounce it every few steps rule is gone. Major League Soccer, the first top-level league to use that rule, which is going to be the international standard. Here's John O'Brien with a long run. Can't save it from rolling over the end line. But again, a midfielder making a long run forward on the wing. Rob Stone, what do you got?
Well, that may be John O'Brien's final long run. Ben Olsen is just taking the sub card. He's at midfield right now. He will be coming in for John O'Brien. Weather definitely becoming a factor. Bruce Arena looking at his watch a lot more. Frankie Hejduk also warming up. Plus, assistant coach Dave Sarakin about 10 minutes ago had a conversation with Ante Raza. Told him, hey, be ready because Brian McBride has just worked his tail off that first half.
Armas bangs into Perez, knocking Perez down. And we're going to get a substitution here. Olsen replacing John O'Brien, who does 63 minutes of good work.
When Olsen came on against South Africa last Saturday, he made an instant difference to the United States. Fresh legs, a lot of spirited play. O'Brien's done well for himself, held the ball well on many occasions, came back and helped Chris Armas win balls in the defensive midfield. But Ben Olsen probably gives you a little bit more, not only energy, but maybe a little bit better attacking edge because he gets around the defense into the corners and gets some dangerous crosses in.
It's been said that Ben Olsen gets his hair cut by a dog groomer.
And he combs it with an egg beater.
And Olsen certainly has the energy of a mad dog. He's racing around, wagging its tail. But he can channel and focus that energy as well as just run around madly. Here's a little numerical chance. Olalde with the move on Yamosa, tries to slot it to the far post. It goes out of bounds. A goal kick for the U.S. and a dangerous counter by Mexico. This portion of the match brought to you by York Peppermint Patty.
You don't necessarily like to see one-on-one isolations at the back. This is Yamosa. He's got no support, no help. He closes things down. He forces the shooter to a bad angle. A great look there from the blimp shot. But you're leading 1-0. You should have some extra cover back there to defend the lead. Yamosa instead was left all alone.
Osorno was offside. The flag did not go up because the ball was played so far away from him. Keller collects it easily. Keller with a 70-yarder. McBride winning the ball in the air. But it comes out of bounds. The pace slowing. You can feel it as the players begin to labor. Ramirez up ahead for Chavez. Osorno. Armas immediately on him. Osorno creates some space for himself. This is a pass for Ulalde. He volleys it, trying to get it around Yamosa, and it goes out. Goal kick for the U.S. Bringing the views from high above is the Bud One airship. Budweiser reminds you that fresh beer tastes better. Budweiser, the official beer of U.S. soccer. Up there in the haze. Temperature in the mid-90s now, and it is beating down on the field. And most players during stoppages are hands on knees.
What we saw again there, though, the one-on-one matchup. Olalde threatening to get past Carlos Yamosa. That's a gamble. Yamosa's a very good defender. Does not have blazing speed, though.
Kobe Jones gets smacked down on a hard tackle by Lopez. On they go. Play on, says Prendergast, the referee. Luis Ignacio Gonzalez has entered the game for Luis Perez. Now here's a counter for Mexico. Gonzalez across the middle, and Aegis boots it up into the stands. It'll be a corner kick for Mexico. Well, after owning much of the play, this is what the U.S. has to fear right here. Mexico with a chance to even it up. There's Reyna on the heading clear. The volley back into the middle, off of Reyna and out of bounds. Another corner for Mexico.
I got another sub. Greg Berhalter at the Carlos and Wilson. You can come to me on it.
And again, it's Gonzalez right into the middle. Keller up to snare the ball.
Well, Casey Keller brought down many a high ball in his years in the English professional leagues. Now he finds himself with Rayo Vallecano of the Spanish First Division. He missed 2 months with a shoulder injury. Rayo Vallecano surprised a lot of people by finishing 9th in the Spanish League this past season, largely due to Keller's play.
Tony Sane back to Carlos Yamosa. Claudio Reyna. A little passing triangle here. Always a couple of men in support of the man with the ball. Here's Bernal. Yamosa winning it away. Chavez outside of the foot. Nice pass. Alpizar up from the D. Lozano into the middle. Chavez 45 yards from goal, shifts it into the middle. Little drop off for Gonzalez. He's fresh, moving against Sane. Gonzalez turns it into the middle. Bicycle attempt. Keller makes the stop. Olalde with gymnastic stuff. Rob Stone on an impending substitution. Rob, what do you got?
Bruce Arena on the verge of making a sub that he really did not plan on making. Greg Berhalter is loosening up right now. He's at the midfield stripe. He'll be coming in for Carlos Yamosa, who asked out. He's starting to cramp up right now, so you know things are getting tough out there when Carlos asks out.
Yamosa's been thinking, how many more of those one-on-ones do I have to deal with in this heat?
Alpizar. Lozano. Mexico pressing the U.S. struggling. That one's over Yamosa's head. Yamosa gives it out into the space to Olsen. The U.S. in a defensive posture here. It's much more comfortable attacking. Agus. Regis. Reyna. Putting it upfield, looking for Jones. Jones getting the bounce. Oh, Ramirez took him down. That ought to be a red card. He was in alone. There's no question. A yellow card for Ramirez, his second of the match, and Mexico will go 10 on 11 the rest of the day.
A deliberate foul and a clear scoring chance. It could have perhaps been a straight red. Instead, a second yellow will suffice. As Kobe Jones' speed, watch him just turn it on. The minute he sees the advantage, he was gone. He was in all alone on Bernal, and Christian Ramirez may have saved a goal, but his team will play a man short in the heat here at Giant Stadium. There was another Mexican defender off to the right a little bit that perhaps had somewhat of an interception angle with Kobe Jones, but with Jones' speed, unlikely.
He was going to get a shot. He was definitely going to get a shot.
Maybe not all by himself, but yeah, he was in.
All right, Berhalter has entered the game, and Yamosa, who was dominant, comes out. And Berhalter from Tenafly, New Jersey, just north of the George Washington Bridge, not more than about 15-20 minutes away from here, comes into the game.
And he's already logged in several seasons of European experience at the professional level.
Claudio Reyna served to the far side for McBride. The header back into the middle. McBride getting called to the push as he was going up against Beltran. This portion of the match brought to you by Motrin. We're in the 72nd minute. A very hard day to make a 90-minute effort at Giant Stadium. Alongside Ty Keogh with Rob Stone down below, I'm Jack Edwards. This is U.S. Cup 2000. And Alalde offside behind Greg Berhalter, who had dropped that offside line about 45 yards from goal. There's Hugo Sanchez trying to get some energy out of his players. McBride knocked over from behind by Lopez. Lopez already working with a yellow card. He can't afford another one. Mexico's already down to 10 men. Reyna. Armas to Reyna in space. Splits the seam for McBride, who was behind him. McBride looking over the other shoulder. Berhalter lets the ball bounce, plays it all the way back to Keller.
Berhalter called the man of the match on Tuesday night at Foxborough against Ireland, so he's earned some minutes here. In fact, at one point we were told he was starting in today's match, with Jeff Agus pushing out to the left side instead of Regis.
Alpizar touches it ahead. Corrado. Gonzalez trying to turn on Ramirez. Nice move on the sideline. Lozano intercepted Agus. Sane turns on the ball. A little trouble with it in Agus. One times it toward midfield. Lozano settles. Too far ahead for Gonzalez, who charges after Agus. Keller cranks it out. Jones and Alpizar. They play on. McBride goes tumbling in his effort against Beltran. Mashes it towards the sky. Reyna settles it nicely. He's got Olsen on the left side. Jones breaking in. Dribbles around one man. Reyna beats Beltran. Now Jones at the top of the box. Wide open. Olsen. Can he finish? Right stop by Bernal. Coming out to deny Ben Olsen the angle. But what nice work by the U.S. working it across.
Sergio Bernal, the Mexican goalkeeper, has made 3 outstanding saves here in the second half, stopping Ernie Stewart on a breakaway early in the half. Good work by Kobe Jones. His awareness, knowing Ben Olsen is out there supporting the attack, coming in from the left midfield position. And Bernal just reacted so well to thwart Olsen.
Olsen's corner in the 74th minute, going far post for Berhalter. Gets knocked down. It'll be a throw-in for the U.S. Ben Olsen has finished twice. Not going to get too many better opportunities than that, although you have to credit Bernal. Courageous coming off his line to face that ball.
Ben Olsen, in his rookie season at DC United, lived at Bruce Arena's house. He was an adopted son.
Leaving the University of Virginia early. Here's a long ball for Olsen. He's a step offside.
He left early there, too.
And that won't win him too many friends going for the finish after the whistle. This portion of the match is brought to you by Nike. Alpizar moving it forward for Tirado. Stewart giving him a little pressure from behind. Gonzalez trying to through ball. Agus reads it, steps in front. Sane up ahead for Jones. Jones has McBride, Reyna, and Olsen on the far side. Jones beats two men. He's got McBride in the middle. Jones closing. Can he angle it back? Tips to the far side. Too strong for Olsen. He'll chase it down. He's got Armas charging toward the top of the arc. Olsen goes for the shot. Blocked down. Wins it back. Touches for McBride. McBride in the pile of traffic. Reyna can't finish. Parried off the line on a terrific play. Getting back Alpizar to save a goal for Mexico.
Well, Bernal flat out lucky there because the defender stopped the ball on the line, and the rebound went straight back into Bernal's arms. Olsen there had a chance to set up Chris Armas, though, for an easy goal. Didn't see him.
Referee Peter Prendergast has ruled a foul against the United States, so they'll restart.
Major scramble. Here's Ben Olsen initially setting up McBride, and Reyna piles on afterwards. That's why the foul is called, but a good save on the goal line. Reyna had piled on to Bernal looking for a loose ball, which is why the Mexican defenders push him away. Gerardo Torrado, the number 6 for Mexico.
Number 2, Frankie Hejduk is in the game for the United States, replacing Ernie Stork in the heat at Giant Stadium with about 15 minutes to go in the game. And Ignacio Flores has come into the game for Daniel Osorno up front for Mexico. Tony Sane. Claudio Reyna. He's got a lot of space for Olsen on the left side. He plays it short for Jones. Can't turn it away from Beltran. Lopez trying to counter. Here comes Ben Olsen from the side. Lopez making a nice move. Olsen pushing off. Chavez to Lopez, who has a lot of space. Armas just out there to play the Shepherds. Force him to one side. Olsen coming in to help out against Gonzalez. Now, Regis sending it forward. A push on Olsen called before that. So Mexico will restart about 45 yards from goal. Still down just by 1.
Good look at Hugo Sanchez, the acting coach for Mexico today. One of their all-time great players. He's talked about perhaps coaching at Real Madrid, where he led the Spanish league in scoring for about 5 seasons.
Lozano trying to move on Regis, and Regis denying him the space, knocking it out. It'll be a Mexico corner kick here.
Sanchez also played in the old North American Soccer League with the San Diego Sockers. I had the honor of being his teammate for a couple of seasons there. He went on after that to all those exploits in Spain and Europe.
The corner kick, Berhalter going up to win the ball. Sane on the challenge, and Olsen blasted across midfield. Bernal, 40 yards from his goal line, plays it forward. Bernal has played fabulously for Mexico. This game could be way more than just 1-0. Olalde against Agus, takes a dive. Nobody's buying that. Agus with not enough pressure to bend a blade of grass.
Still very risky play by the U.S. there.
Sane punching it clear. Olsen ahead for McBride. It's a 4-on-3, 5-on-3 as Hejduk places upfield right. He's very fast and he's got fresh legs. Frankie Hejduk has Jones going through a seam, doesn't see it. Into the middle. Here's a chance for Olsen. Olsen ahead for Jones. Jones' shot. The clutch and scores! Frankie Hejduk finishes. The U.S. Cup is staying home.
controversy here because Kobe Jones could have been offside on this play right here. No, maybe not. At the bottom of your screen, the Mexican defender even with him. So the Mexican players protesting, saying Jones on the initial shot here, offside. Great hustle by Frankie Hejduk to follow up the play and finish it off. But I thought for a second Jones may have been offside when that ball was played into him from Ben Olsen.
The 18-yard stripe at the top of the penalty area actually helping out the referee's assistance as Jones was dancing back and forth across that. There's Frankie Hejduk, who for the United States has scored his 5th career goal. And Kobe Jones getting in on it in the 79th minute. Brian McBride coming off. Listen to the ovation at Giants Stadium. A job well done. Dante Washington is into the game. Razov, UCLA product, playing for the Chicago Fire in Major League Soccer.
And on fire. Goal scoring production. Which is why he's been brought in.
This portion of the match brought to you by Tropicana. Kobe Jones toward the corner. Hard tackle by Beltran, knocking the ball out of bounds. Jones into the middle for Razov. Flick on header, nobody in the seam. Chavez there for Mexico.
Brian McBride has had 3 very solid performances for the United States, going back to the U.S.-Russia game in late April, the South Africa game last Saturday, and this one here as well. And then finally on this one, he has something to show for it in terms of stats, with an actual goal on the board, which could stand up as the winner.
Toronto's through ball. Hejduk gets a piece. David Reggie jogs it up across midfield. Razov touches it back to Reggie. In the U.S. Cup, there's liberal substitution. 9 subs are made available for each game. As many as 5 can come in to each game. Hejduk up the right side for Jones. Keeps going on the run. Jones getting shoved. Still has the ball. Kobe Jones turns the corner. Races in. Jones across the middle. Knocked down from behind. Grabbed by the jersey. Too late in the game with a 2-0 lead probably. Not a threatening enough situation.
Especially after the one at the other end where Akers may have fouled the Mexican forward in the penalty area.
Hejduk plays it square. So it evens up. Armas. Razov immediately turns. Here's Reggie, who made several very nice runs early in the second half. Razov, the Beltran on his back. Has to bring it back to Armas. Reina sees Sané moving into the space on the right side. That's Reina's vision. Here's Sané creating something. 20 yards from goal. Stumbles down after the tackle. Hejduk wins the ball back for Berhalter. And there's Agus as the U.S. moves it around the back. The United States has not won the U.S. Cup since 1995. There have been 3 competitions since then. Mexico has won them all. Here's Armas. Armas racing through. He's got Razov in the corner. Razov setting up. Goes quickly for the cross. Beltran deflects. Lopez tries to settle. Armas takes it away. What energy from him so late in the game. Razov getting hammered on a hard tackle low by Lopez. And Prendergast will go for the verbal warning on Lopez, who already has the yellow card. '83rd minute here in the U.S. gets a chance to work on a set play. Reina and Razov. Razov with a big left foot. Reina very talented with the right foot. Kobe Jones is going to come out of the game with Jovan Karofsky coming on, and listen to the ovation for Jones. There's your man of the tournament right there, Kobe Jones. Jovan Karofsky coming on here in the 84th minute. This portion of the match brought to you by Allstate. Reina going directly for the shot, and it goes over the top. Let's see the Allstate save of the day, Ty.
Casey Keller has not had a lot of saves to make in this game, but he does have the shutout going for him. And this is a chance for Mexico in the first half at the near post. Keller making sure that he didn't get beaten at the near side. Seeing players guess.
Razov with a chance to finish. He does! Ante Razov!
Well, things finally opening up here. Mexico tiring in the heat. They've not brought their best team by far. And a giveaway at the back. Tilon Chavez plays it right into the run of Ante Razov. Chavez should get an assist for that. Mental error in the fresh legs of Ante Razov. He's poaching there. He's all over it. Makes a good finish. He prefers that left foot. He made it look easy.
And Carlos Carreño immediately comes off the bench for Mexico to replace Chavez. Razov's second goal in the tournament and his second career goal for the United States in the international play. True, this is not Mexico's full national side, but this is the team that Mexico chose to send to represent the country. The United States can't control that.
Well, and Tilon Chavez, the player who gave the ball away on a bad mental error there, is one of the players who has appeared from time to time with the full national team. So it's not like he's one of the ones that were just brought along for the ride.
Chavez today making his 21st appearance representing Mexico.
Yeah, he's a for-real one, unlike some of these guys who really representing Mexico only because they wanted to rest the main team.
Regis cracking it for Hejduk. Alpizar clearing it out. This is Carreño who just came in for Chavez. Regis, plenty of room to attack here. And the U.S. with no sympathy. Karofsky, a nice layoff ball for Regis. Now the U.S. had better get back. Long counter attempt, and again, offside. This was Ignacio Flores. Well, the back line is communicated very well. Mexico trying the through balls, the long balls, and the U.S. not getting stung by that.
Part of that is that Yamosa, who's no longer in the game, Berhalter, who just had the ball there coming on for him, but Yamosa and Eggers communicate so well because they team together with their club side, DC United.
And Casey Keller has done that. He has come way out high a lot, communicates well, especially with his center backs. There's never any question who is going to get the ball and who has to play it.
Jeff, you nailed it. That's critical when a team plays with a flat back four and pushes up like the United States has done. They've caught players offside, but also if the ball does sneak through or a player does, it's up to the goalkeeper to really read it quickly in the offense line, and that's what Keller's done.
Flores a little 1-2, but there's the scissoring United States defense. Sane and Berhalter taking the ball away. This portion of the match brought to you by Armor All. First goal today by Brian McBride in the 33rd minute. Rob Stone has him down below. Rob?
And Brian McBride is our Chevrolet Man of the Match, $1,000 check donated in your name to the U.S. Soccer Foundation. It's been a while since you kind of got off the assist snide and you got yourself a goal. How does it feel and how's this team looking as qualification looms?
Feels good. Qualification looks really good. I think that we have a good group of guys here. All 22 of the guys can play, and that was our goal, to come out of this a better team.
Mexico has had their way with you the last couple times. Nice to take it to them.
Yeah, it is. It's good to be the team that we've had trouble with, regardless of what's going on. This is an important tournament for us, and we're glad we won it.
Great, Brian. Thanks for your time. Congratulations.
Karofsky, a through ball for Olsen, touching out for Hejduk. The flag is up, and he's offside. That will not count. Olsen was offside. The U.S. attacking relentlessly, even in the final few minutes of the match.
Well, for the United States players, as Brian McBride said, a little bit of payback. Mexico have won this tournament the last 3 times. Also, the last time these two teams met at the FIFA Confederations Cup in Mexico. Mexico defeating the United States on a golden goal. And in the semifinal, the U.S. ended up finishing 3rd. Mexico ended up winning that prestigious FIFA tournament.
Gonzalez onto the right side of Bali is well wide. And goes all the way into the tunnel. Olalde firing one off. Many of these players representing Mexico today have given a good, honest effort in very difficult conditions. Hot and humid. The U.S. has had too much talent, too much unity, and also has had the numbers. Everybody the U.S. has brought in has done a good job.
In fact, the United States could have broken this game wide open much earlier if not for the play of goalkeeper Sergio Bernal for Mexico.
Absolutely. Bernal made at least 3 spectacular saves, and Alpizar, his central back, volleyed one off the line. This easily could be 6 or 7-0. The U.S. has, though, at least for the moment, quieted many critics who said this team had trouble finishing. 4 goals against South Africa, 3 here against Mexico, 1 in brutal conditions against Ireland. Jovan Kirovski moving the ball to David Reggie. He's got Olsen on the sideline, gives it to him. Kirovski's in space. Olsen scissoring with him. Olsen tries to one move in Toronto. He says, thank you very much. A little ambitious by Olsen. Here comes Gonzalez working on Berhalter. Berhalter turns him one way and makes his body stop. The match is very close to over. 1 minute of stoppage time is being added. The United States on the verge of winning its 3rd U.S. Cup, which would tie Mexico for the all-time lead in this tournament. The first U.S. Cup championship for the United States since 1995, so the Waterford Crystal will stay on these shores. 45,000 in attendance at Giants Stadium. Frankie Hejduk getting cleaned out as Lozano gets the elbow in the final few seconds. Ty Keogh has to make one at least optimistic going into World Cup qualifying. It's over. The cup looks red, white, and blue. Brian McBride, the Chevrolet man of the match, with the game-winning goal in the 33rd minute. On a beautiful XO play. We get Ty Keogh's final thoughts on the U.S. Cup when we return to Giants Stadium. The U.S. takes it up 3-0.